we now see that happening. The boldness, what do you call the boldness of where they openly say they're killing us, where they openly admit the first 10 million people in Canada and the U.S. to get the nasal live flu virus, they admit it's going to mutate it and spread it.
Yes.
So in plain view, they admit it has cancer viruses in the major German and British news.
Yep.
We're shooting cancer viruses live into our nostrils. They admit the Gardasil's killing the girls and mutating. Its own inventor came out and said, don't take it. I'm sure they'll kill her or something. The point is that, what do you call that? Because I see them testing the ambient murder. They're now just killing us right out in the open and just setting the precedent to do it. And then everyone's dropping dead or dying, and it's like no big deal.
That's right. In fact, even admits from the World Health Organization that they're doing a massive campaign to train the public to accept that masses of people die all the time from strokes and heart attacks and cancers, so don't relate it to the vaccine that you're getting. This is the present propaganda blitz that's out right now. So they're training the victim to accept his own death and put down to coincidence. It's amazing that they understand what they can do to the public, because they've lied so many times in the past. They know the formulas and the techniques, and then they know how we respond. If there's 1% of credibility in their arguments, the public will want to believe them, rather than cross the line and say, these guys are killing us.
Because the average person, just like in Hardin, Montana, when our listeners caught the con artist felon, now admitted running a giant takeover of the town to put the locals in the camp the private criminal was going to own, still the local constabulary denies it, even if it's admitted, because they don't want to admit they're wrong, and it's too scary to admit it's happening.
That's correct. But they have no problems in lying to the public. And again, and these recently released documents from internal meetings at World Health Organization, they said they would have to lie to the public. They can't tell the public the truth. This is from their own minutes of their meetings.
And these are all eugenicists, and they go, it's sad we have to kill everyone, but it's for the earth. Everybody out there, you got to warn everybody you can. They're implanting you and your family with cancer viruses. These also spread. It's not just the shot.
Are you concerned for the safety of your loved ones? Listen closely to this message from pepperspray.com. Every 22 seconds a violent crime is committed. America has changed, and your personal safety is your first priority. Be smart. Be safe. Trust Pepper Spray instead of your luck. Pepperspray.com is the only website you'll ever need for all of your non-lethal self-defense supplies. Pepperspray.com carries one of the largest assortments of pepper spray and personal safety products on the web. From big to small, we have it all. Pepper spray, mace, animal repellents, stun guns, and tasers. Pepperspray.com also carries a large assortment of products for personal, home, child, and pet safety. Enter SAFE in the coupon box, and you'll receive a special discount off of your order. So what are you waiting for? Go to pepperspray.com. That's pepperspray.com. Or call 1-800-908-9988 today.
All right, I want to open the phones up next hour for Alan Watts, specifically on eugenics, the master plan, how to stop them, what they're doing. 1-800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. He can talk about any issue, but please address your questions to Alan Watt. I don't want to talk about a tractor you got for sale or chupacabras in your attic. And I'm not being mean. Sometimes people do that, especially if we have a guest. It's like they will not address anything to them. It's kind of like Piggly Wiggly gets to the head of the line and then nobody else gets to get on. So 1-800-259-9231. That's coming up in the next hour. Alan, we were just talking during the break about social control. It's just like the Aztecs, one of the dominant Mesoamerican Mayan cultures. And in their own writings and in what the Spanish observed, mothers would beg to have their healthiest, best, because you wanted to have the best sacrifice, 10-year-old only son cut up in pieces and then sold as meat by the priest class. That's how they made their money to the locals. And the mothers would gobble their children with pleasure. We have major news out of Seoul, Korea and China. This is mainstream baby soup, not a hoax, eating babies. People get upset if they see a dog killed by Marines, but not if they see a kid killed by Marines. We've been trained to see human life as bad. And through mind control, just through cultural mind control, Aztecs would kill their sons and daughters and wives and husbands with pleasure. The Druids would do this. And it's the same thing now. We just give our kids to the state. Because because as our guest said earlier, in England, a mother said, yeah, it was really hard to lose the weight and ruined my figure. They said that was a symbol of depression, so they took the baby from the family with no due process. The criminal state is here. Go ahead.
Yes, again, too, it's interesting to look at the old video. I think it's still up maybe on YouTube, I don't know. I can't watch it because of my slow speed. They punish me for using ExploreNet. But there was a Julian Huxley up there and Aldous Huxley. And these guys went into this whole thing. And Aldous Huxley himself, who attended all the world meetings, he also worked at Tavistock Institute. He thought that the scientific dictatorship would be just sort of wonderful when it came in, and that people would be trained to love their servitude. But he also talked about the only obstacle they had at that time, back in the 50s, was the remnants of a powerful or almost post-powerful Christianity. Now that ties in with what his brother Julian said, the first CEO of UNESCO. He said, we'll have to train the people to devaluate human life in order to bring through mass abortions and eventually genetic selection and sterilization. So this is the plan unfolding now. These guys were part of the big world meetings of their day. They set their agendas, they set their timetables, they set it for the end of the millennium into the new that's now, and that's what they called this the century of change, and they never alter their plans. Their plans are like long-term business plans set in stone, with 10-year plans for one part, 50 for another, 100 for another. We see this same type of plan cropping up in the declassified information put out by the top think tanks for the military, going up to the year 2050 and beyond, and the kind of world that there will be then, and society that will have then. And we have, of course, the Rockefellers trotting around the world, still pushing the depopulation plan, the eugenics plan, the fittest should survive, the rest should get sterilized, and the unwanted should simply be killed off by various means. This is happening as we live, and the public don't even know it's happening because they're trained to ignore and not participate in their own destiny.
Got a break, coming back. 50 minutes left in the next hour with Alan Watt. This is what's happening. And they're training us to turn our own predator instinct on our own species. That's what the police, the military, all of it is.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Alan Watt, one of the main contributors, one of the stars in Fall of the Republic. He's going to be in Fall of the Republic 2 that comes out March 15th of next year, the big eugenics film. But your calls are coming up at 1-800-259-9231. At the 20 after, we'll take calls for 2 segments. Alan, we were talking again about how they train us to feed on ourselves. They domesticate us. They train us not to notice what's happening. And this whole agenda is rushing forward. Continue.
Well, going into the writings again of some of the biggest players who did publish lots of their work, we find their techniques because they explained their techniques, and they were so assured of them working. That can only be done because of previous experimentation on populations. And we're going back to the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. The Huxleys, for instance, talked about people loving their servitude, and they often used the term domestication. Domesticate the public. What they meant was, and they even said this, that the only true survivors that are fit to survive are wild animals that retain all of the survival capabilities. In order to rule all the lesser types, the inferior humans who haven't made it to the top, they'd have to domesticate them. That meant to eradicate their instincts for self-preservation, train them that experts were looking after everything that they should look after by themselves, and even to the extent where they couldn't do anything without expert advice. Well, we've had a massive campaign since about the 50s onwards, listen to the experts, all through magazines, TVs, even in news breaks or even weather breaks. You get experts coming on telling you how to dress for the rain. This is a form of domestication. It's meant to make you think that you know nothing. You're too stupid to understand. And just accept it. Accept there are better types of people above you taking care of all the big problems that you yourself and don't become involved in the big problems in life to do with politics, policies, or anything else. Just accept it. That's called domestication until you literally have no self-preservation instincts left. When that happens, you're now ready for extermination. And then they can even train you, as you say, they're training the children to volunteer for sterilization, to save the world. And, of course, this new religion of ecology is a religion. As Gorbachev said, we are creating a new religion based on a form of earth worship. But, of course, it's got its own high priests that decide who should procreate and who should not procreate. And that's not fast enough for them. They want to start killing us off even faster. We're not reading enough in the